Have you ever quit a survival game the moment you became safe? Or felt bored by a sim until you gave yourself a brutal challenge? That feeling is the key to everything. Here's the problem with every debate about survival and simulation games. We're having the wrong argument. We fight over labels and Steam tags when we should be listening to what our intuition is telling us. Welcome back to OpenSplit. We are talking about survival games like always. But today we're not just talking about genres or store tags, as I just mentioned. We're taking a closer look at the core promise games make to you. A single thing its gameplay loop is built around. To see that core driver in action, let's look at our first example. A game where that promise is one thing: survival as a constant personal threat. Of course, we are talking again about my all-time favorite, Stranded Deep. Here it asks you one question with every sunrise. Do you know where you are? Your entire existence is a negotiation with a world that didn't invite you. Crafting a water still isn't expression, much more it is paying ransom to your own thirst. And building a hut isn't creativity or has any other deeper meaning than just being a landmark in a sea of sameness. The genius and the limitation of a game like this is that all its systems exist to create and manage a single feeling: disorientation. The question becomes, can you find your way back in one piece, or do you have to start over on a different island? The moment you solve the core survival loop, establishing a base island with all the water stills and farms you need, the game has nothing else to give you. Once that's solved, the entire survival experience crashes. This is a survival loop at its most basic core. A game where the world holds all the scale and your goal is just to be allowed to keep your place in it. You forged a contract. The game sells this navigation problem and you pay for it with your constant vigilance and mapping. That very contract starts to fall apart very quickly. The moment you assemble your helicopter and have enough fuel for it for days, you have basically purchased your way out of this core dilemma. You bypass the sea of identical islands and the tension of the horizon. What remains is not a deeper world, but the blueprint of a solved routine. The ultimate permission the game will give you in the end is to actually leave its world. And by leaving, you will see the boundaries of its simulation. So what if we change that? What if we can make the world as such that you can never get too much power? And I think MudRunner gives you the answer for this. If you really think about it, MudRunner has many things in common with classical survival games, but it uses it in a very different, simulated way. You're in a colossal truck, in a swamp that wants to swallow you whole. The environment is just as brutal as any ocean. The mud, the water, the very physics of the world all conspire against you. But your personal survival is never really part of the equation. You won't die. Your avatar won't starve. Actually, there's not even anyone inside the truck. With this concept, the tension shifts dramatically. It's no longer, will I die? It's, can I solve this puzzle? The hostile world transforms from an antagonist into a complex physics puzzle. Your focus narrows from managing a dozen life-threatening variables to mastering one: the relationship between weight, torque, mud, and your own patience. MudRunner in that sense is a survival sim, where the environment is no longer a gatekeeper, it's the entire point. Stranded Deep and MudRunner seem to be two sides of the same coin. They show us a clean split. One uses hostility and navigation to create a threat to the player. The other uses it to create a challenge for the plan. But this clarity is a luxury. Most ambitious games don't want to pick a side. What they want to be is the whole buffet, where things get unstable. With that, I want to talk about a game that I always kind of admired from the sidelines. It is Kenshi, and it is a fascinating, ambitious mess. It starts as the purest, cruelest survival sim. At the start, you're basically nothing. A simple bandit can end you. Hunger is a constant reminder of your fragility. And for 20 hours or more, you are basically just trying to earn the right to exist. Now let's see where this goes, because Kenshi seems to offer even more. After a while, you can get a band together, maybe even a habitat. You build a wall, you automate mining, and most crucially, the survival fear doesn't lessen because the world gets safer. Because it doesn't, it gets even more dangerous. Massive armies and monsters roam around the world and want a piece of your success. Kenshi doesn't collapse when you get strong. It reveals itself. The brutal personal survival layer was just the grueling tutorial for the real game. A massive systemic world simulation of economics, faction warfare, and logistics. Kenshi proves these two modes aren't actually different genres, but different layers of complexity realized through meticulous simulation. This layered approach reveals a powerful design principle. Use urgent, personal survival to force the player to engage with slower, systemic simulation, which can even escalate into base building. We treat them as two separate modes. The real magic trick is when a game makes them inseparable, when the act of survival is itself the simulation. I think this is the perfect time to talk about Oxygen Not Included, because it is the master of this very trick. It presents you with a classic survival crisis. Find oxygen, find food. So don't suffocate and don't starve. The first cycles are pure, but you quickly realize that all your solutions are only temporary. The algae runs out, the mealwood overheats. In a matter of mere cycles, the colony is a bust. The only permanent solutions lie in engineering. You must build a sustainable ecosystem, manage gas pressures, control temperatures, and harness geysers. The initial survival panic was a Trojan horse. It forces you to engage with the game's true heart, an incredibly deep physics and systems simulation. The survival goal never goes away. Instead, it becomes the perpetual, high-stakes question to which simulation mastery is the only possible answer. This is the perfect fusion. It aligns the player's motivation perfectly. The tension of possibly failing survival directly fuels the obsessive drive for deeper systemic understanding, simulation. One feeds the other in a loop. Oxygen Not Included doesn't feel like two genres slapped together. It feels like one complete demanding idea where the threat and the solutions are made of the same material. You stop thinking, I need water, and start thinking, I need to optimize the heat exchange between this slush geyser and my pumping grid. It's the survival need which is used as a catalyst that transforms you, the player, into a systems engineer. With this last example, we can see a perfect fusion between survival and simulation. We've seen both of them as a separate layer in Stranded Deep and to some extent in MudRunner, which uses simulation isolated but still in a survival type of context. Then we had two examples with Kenshi and Oni that masterfully combine both sim and survival into one package. So what does pure simulation look like? Because it's not MudRunner. We are looking for something that is not in service of anything else, but to simulate. Okay, we covered a lot of things, but now we are getting into the most curious kind of game that I could come up with for this category. And yes, of course, it is House Flipper. If you got this far, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all your time and effort watching my videos and see how I ramble about games. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to the channel. There is much more to come in the future. And now let's get back into the video and see where all of this has led us. We have seen survival used as fuel for simulation in Kenshi and Oxygen Not Included. Let's now take a step back again and look on the other end of the street. Like in MudRunner, we can explore what happens when a game is just the simulation, but this time even without any kind of threat. And then House Flipper comes to mind. You know how that game is. There's no threat, no timer, and no one dies if you pick the wrong wallpaper. The satisfaction is pure process mastery and cosmetic expression. I mean, it's a creative game after all. You learn the perfect way to clean a window, you find the most efficient order to renovate a kitchen. The win state isn't surviving, it's creating the perfect cozy room you imagined. This is simulation in its purest form. It doesn't need a survival catalyst. Its loop is to understand the system, then use it to express yourself. It's complete on its own. Now look at MudRunner. Its loop is very similar, but different. Understand the system, the truck and its physics, then use it to solve a puzzle. Get through the swamp. The threat is abstracted, it's a challenge to your plan. The danger is getting stuck. In House Flipper, even that is not an option. So we have two main game mechanics, pure threat like in Stranded Deep and pure systems like in House Flipper. MudRunner, without even doing it intentionally, kind of tries to be the bridge into the realm of Kenshi and Oxygen Not Included. Obviously, as a survival RPG fan myself, I would really enjoy deeper systems in these games. To me, it would make playing them feel more consequential. If you go back to the start of the video, we can again examine this very feeling of wanting to quit the game. We have now traced that feeling to its source. Stranded Deep is a game where the threat is everything. Its systems exist only to serve that survival. When the threat is gone, the game is over. House Flipper is the exact opposite. Its systems exist for mastery and expression alone, with no external threat to give that mastery urgency. You are the one who provides the why, not necessarily the game. What I wanted to say with all of this is that I think that there is a certain magic that can happen in the middle of these two. The survival threat isn't the end goal, it's the engine. It forces you to engage with the deep simulation systems the game offers. The solution is that mastering those systems isn't just for fun. The fun you get out of it is the only way to survive. In games like Kenshi and Oxygen Not Included, they don't ask you to provide the why, they build it into the core of the experience. In conclusion, you can say that when a game starts to frustrate you, you might want to ask what the core loop is actually trying to make you care about. Am I being asked to outlast a world or to understand it? The answer doesn't just tell you about the game's design, it tells you why you might love it or why you might feel betrayed by it. You have to ignore the marketing. It's in the loop. Understanding that loop is the difference between finding your next favorite game or wasting 10 hours on something that was actually never meant for someone like you. With that, we are at the end of this video. Thank you again so much for watching. Please smash that subscribe button, like and share the video, and tell me in the comments below if you know of any survival games that use simulation in a masterful way to create a better experience. I would be very thrilled to hear about that. You can check out my own survival roguelike on Steam right now if you're interested, and in any case, I will see you in the next one. Bye!